Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Lincoln Wheat pennies coin that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we dives into a humble little piece of copper that many people might overlook, but that just might be hiding in your collection, your change jar, or your family's attic. We're talking about the 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny, a classic American coin that's not just a slice of history, but for a few lucky collectors, it could also be a ticket to an incredible payday. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, how to spot the valuable versions of this coin, and why this particular year holds hidden surprises. And yes, some of these pennies have sold for truly jaw-dropping amounts. But more on that in just a moment. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln Wheat penny was minted from 1909 to 1958 and remains one of the most iconic and widely collected U.S. coin series in the world. The 1953 edition was produced at 3 different U.S. mint locations: Philadelphia, with no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, with an S. That year, more than 700 million pennies rolled out of mint presses across the country. So, with that many out there, what makes any one of them special? The answer lies in a few crucial factors: mint errors, variety, rarity, and condition. Let's talk mint errors, the holy grail for collectors. First up is the double die error. These occur when the coin die strikes the coin twice, just slightly misaligned. This leaves behind a doubling effect that's often visible on the date, Liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." These coins are especially valuable if the doubling is dramatic and can be seen without magnification. But even minor doubling increases the value significantly, so take a close look. Next up, one of the most intriguing and collectible features of 1953 pennies is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. In the 50s, mint marks were still manually punched onto the dies, which meant human error was more common. Some mint workers accidentally stamped the mint mark more than once, creating overlapping or shadowed D or S marks under the date. A strong RPM from 1953, especially from Denver or San Francisco, can add serious value to your coin. Another error to look out for is the off-center strike. This occurs when the coin blank isn't perfectly aligned inside the die, causing the design to appear shifted to one side. The more off-center the strike, and the more of the date that remains visible, the higher the coin's value. Coins that are 10 to 50% off-center, especially if uncirculated, are collector favorites. We also can't forget about die cracks, cuds, and broad strikes, all errors that occur when the coin die is damaged or misaligned. A cud, for instance, appears as a raised bump or blob of metal where part of the die has broken off. These errors make the coin unique, and in the world of coin collecting, uniqueness equals demand. But even with the most amazing error, one factor that can make or break the coin's value is condition. Coins are graded from 1 to 70, with anything above MS 60, mint state, considered uncirculated. A 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny in MS 65 or higher, especially with its original red copper shine, is highly sought after. Collectors pay a premium for coins that show sharp details, no wear, and full red coloration, known as red or RD in grading terms. Now let's talk real-world examples. Rare 1953 pennies with repunched mint marks or strong double die errors have been known to sell for thousands of dollars at auctions like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers. One particularly well-preserved 1953 D penny with a bold RPM in mint state recently attracted fierce bidding and ended up in a high-end collection. These aren't just stories, they're documented sales, and they show the true potential hiding in these small copper coins. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you are lucky enough to find a 1953 Lincoln Wheat penny with a dramatic mint error, like a double die, repunched mint mark, or off-center strike, and it's in top-tier, uncirculated condition with that gorgeous red luster, then you might be holding a coin that collectors have valued at an amazing $79,000. Yes, you heard that right, $79,000 for a single penny. So what are you waiting for? Check those old coin jars, flip through your childhood coin collection, and take a second look at any 1953 pennies you might have stashed away. Because one of them could be more than just spare change, it could be a life-changing discovery. If you've come across a strange or interesting 1953 penny, or if you think you may have a rare variety, drop us a comment below. We'd love to hear your story, help you identify what you've got, or simply chat about coin collecting. It's a passion we all share. Top 2, we're going to talk about a simple, ordinary-looking coin that could be worth far more than you ever imagined. We're talking about the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that millions of people used in everyday life but very few realize can be hiding extraordinary value if it has the right traits. So don't go anywhere, because we're about to reveal how this tiny copper coin from the 1950s could be worth thousands, how to spot the valuable versions, and what collectors are paying today for the rarest finds. Let's go back to 1957. Elvis was topping the charts, the space race was just heating up, and in the United States, the Lincoln Wheat Cent was in its second-to-last year of production before transitioning to the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. That makes the 1957 Wheat Penny part of the final chapter of an era, the last of the classic wheat ears design that had graced the reverse of U.S. pennies since 1909. In 1957, two mint facilities produced these pennies: the Philadelphia Mint, which issued coins with no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which used a small d just below the date. Together, they produced over 1.3 billion Lincoln cents that year, making the 1957 penny seem pretty common. But here's where things get exciting. Some of these coins are anything but ordinary. While most 1957 pennies are worth just a few cents, a small number of them were minted with unusual and valuable errors. And if you happen to own one in top condition, with the right characteristics, you could be looking at a penny worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. So, what should you be looking for? Let's start with one of the most desirable features, the double die error. This happens during the minting process when the die strikes the coin more than once, but in a slightly misaligned position. This creates a doubling effect that's usually visible on the date, the word liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust." These double die obverse, DDO, coins from 1957 are extremely rare and sought after, especially if the doubling is clear and bold. Another valuable error is the repunched mint mark, or RPM. Since the mint marks in the 1950s were still hand-punched onto the coin dies, there were plenty of chances for human error. Sometimes the Denver D mint mark was stamped more than once, slightly off from the original position. Under magnification, this looks like a shadow or second letter. If you see this doubling on a 1957 D penny, you may have an RPM, and that's big news for collectors. Don't forget the off-center strike. This error happens when the coin blank isn't correctly aligned in the press, resulting in a design that's shifted to one side. The more dramatic the misalignment, and the more of the date that's still visible, the more valuable the coin. Off-center strikes of 10% to 50% can be especially eye-catching and collectible. We also have die cracks, cuds, and broad strikes, which are all types of mechanical or die damage during the minting process. A cud is a particularly exciting find. It looks like a raised blob of metal, often along the rim of the coin, where part of the die has broken off. These minting anomalies make a coin unique, and uniqueness always boosts value. But here's the kicker: condition matters just as much as rarity. A rare error on a heavily circulated coin might still be worth some money, but if you find that same error on a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition, that's where the real treasure lies. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with anything above MS 60, mint state, considered uncirculated. The most desirable examples are those that retain their original red copper color, what coin experts call red or RD. A 1957 wheat penny graded MS 65 RD or higher with a rare error is something serious collectors will compete for, and don't just take our word for it, look at the auction houses. Rare 1957 pennies with RPMs and DDOs in high-grade condition have sold for thousands at heritage auctions and great collections. Just recently, a near-perfect example of a 1957 D with a dramatic RPM fetched thousands at auction, and values keep climbing as more collectors enter the hobby. Now, the big moment you've been waiting for. If you are fortunate enough to find a 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny with one of these rare mint errors, such as a double die, off-center strike, or repunched mint mark, and it's in exceptional mint state condition with strong luster and full red color, you could be holding a coin worth a life-changing $67,000, yes, you heard that right, $67,000 for a single 1-cent coin. That's why it pays, literally, to inspect your old change. Go through your old jars, rolls, and inherited collections. Take a close look at those 1957 pennies. Because one of them just might be the rare piece everyone is searching for. Have you come across a strange or high-quality 1957 penny? Maybe something with doubling, a mint mark error, or an unusual strike. Drop us a comment below, we'd love to hear from you. Your coin might be the next great find. Top 3, we're talking about the 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a 1-cent coin that many people overlook, but for a lucky few, could be worth more than a new luxury car, or even a house. That's right, this tiny piece of copper might look like pocket change, but if you have the right one, it could be a rare and highly sought-after treasure. So sit back, grab your magnifying glass, and pay close attention, because what you learn today might just lead you to uncover a coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. The 1945 Lincoln Wheat Penny is part of one of the most beloved coin series in American history. First introduced in 1909 to honor President Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday, the wheat penny ran until 1958 and became a staple in the lives of generations of Americans. But 1945 was a particularly interesting year, with the war still raging in the Pacific and wartime metal shortages affecting coin production. The U.S. Mint had already switched out the steel cent used in 1943 and returned to using copper-based alloy by 1945. The coin was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D, and San Francisco, with an S. In total, more than 1 billion 1945 pennies were made, making it seem like a common coin. But here's where it gets exciting: not all 1945 Lincoln pennies were created equal. While most are only worth a few cents in average condition, a few rare examples with specific mint errors, metal variations, or incredible preservation have made their way into collectors' dreams and auction house headlines. Let's break down what makes these coins truly special. First up, mint errors. One of the most desirable is the double die obverse, where the coin's design appears doubled, particularly noticeable on the date, Liberty, and the phrase, "In God We Trust." If you spot a 1945 penny with clear doubling on these features, don't ignore it, you could be holding something extremely rare. Next, we have the repunched mint mark, also known as RPM. In 1945, mint marks were still hand-punched into the dies, which made errors more common. Some coins have a Denver or San Francisco mint mark that was stamped more than once, slightly off position, creating a shadow or double effect. These repunched mint marks are highly collectible and can add significant value. Another type of error to watch out for is the off-center strike, where the design is shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. The more off-center the strike, and the more of the date that remains visible, the higher the value. A 50% off-center strike in uncirculated condition? That's a collector's dream, but that's not all. There are also die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, where parts of the coin's design appear raised or broken due to damage in the die itself. These errors are often easy to see and can make a coin one of a kind. Collectors love these types of mistakes, especially when paired with high condition. Speaking of condition, let's talk about coin grading, which is a critical factor in determining value. Coins are graded on a 70-point scale, with mint state, MS, coins starting at MS 60 and going up to the perfect MS 70. For serious value, you want a coin that's not only rare but also in exceptional condition, shiny, full of luster, with no scratches or wear. There are also color designations for copper coins like the 1945 penny: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and full red, RD. A 1945 penny with a full red tone and perfect surfaces can be extremely rare, especially if it also has a dramatic mint error. Now here's where it gets really exciting. In recent years, a few standout 1945 Lincoln Wheat pennies have surfaced at major auctions. One of them, a Philadelphia mint coin with an incredibly strong double die and graded in top mint state condition, sparked a bidding war and ended up selling for an enormous sum. And another, a stunning off-center strike with full red luster, shocked collectors with how high the final hammer price climbed. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. If you're lucky enough to own a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny in brilliant uncirculated condition, with a rare error like a double die obverse, repunched mint mark, or dramatic off-center strike, and it's been professionally graded and preserved, your coin could be worth a staggering $237,000. Yes, you heard that right. $237,000 for a 1-cent coin from 1945. Here's your mission. Check your old coin jars, dig through your family's coin collections, and look closely at any 1945 pennies you come across. Use a magnifier, examine the date, the mint mark, and the overall quality. And if anything looks off or unusual, don't ignore it. You might just be holding a piece of American history, and a fortune in your palm. Have you ever found a rare error coin? Maybe you've seen doubling or an off-center strike? Share your discoveries in the comments. We'd love to hear your stories, help identify your finds, and talk all things coin collecting. Top 4. We're diving deep into the world of classic American coinage, shining a spotlight on a tiny piece of history that could turn into a massive payday for the lucky few who hold it, the 1951 United States Lincoln wheat penny. Now, to most people, it's just a 1-cent coin, but if you listen carefully and look closely, you might discover that this humble penny could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's rewind the clock to 1951. Post-war America was booming, the economy was growing, and the Lincoln wheat penny was still the official 1-cent coin in circulation. It was the era before the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse took over in 1959, so the wheat ears on the back were still proudly displayed. Millions of these pennies were minted across 3 facilities: the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark, the Denver Mint marked with a D, and the San Francisco Mint with an S. With billions produced, these pennies were everywhere. Yet, despite their massive production, some 1951 pennies have become incredibly rare and highly prized by collectors. How? The answer lies in errors, variations, and condition. First, let's talk about what sets a valuable 1951 penny apart from the ordinary ones you find in your change. The most sought-after examples typically have minting errors or unique characteristics that make them one-of-a-kind. One of the rarest and most collectible features is the double die obverse, DDO, error. This occurs when the coin die strikes the planchet twice in slightly different positions, creating a doubled image, especially visible on the date, the words, Liberty, and the motto, In God We Trust. If you examine a 1951 penny and notice thick, shadowed doubling on these elements, congratulations, you might have a valuable DDO coin on your hands. Another striking feature to look for is the repunched mint mark, RPM. Since mint marks were added by hand, mistakes were common, and some 1951 pennies from Denver or San Francisco show evidence of the mint mark being punched twice, with one mark overlapping the other. Under magnification, this looks like a small shadow or ghost of a second letter, and collectors pay handsomely for these kinds of anomalies. Now, what about the condition? This is where many coins fall short, but it's absolutely crucial in determining value. Coins that have been circulated heavily, with scratches, discoloration, or wear, usually fetch only a few cents or dollars at most. But if you find a 1951 Lincoln wheat penny that is in mint state, meaning it looks almost as it did the day it was minted, with no visible wear and its original red or red-brown luster, it could be worth a small fortune. Even more exciting are coins that combine these rare errors with exceptional condition. A 1951 DDO penny in mint state red, or a 1951 RPM penny that still has its full luster, can command serious attention from collectors worldwide. To add even more intrigue, there are off-center strikes where the coin's design is noticeably shifted due to misalignment during minting. The more off-center, and the more complete the visible design remains, the more valuable the coin can be. These striking errors add uniqueness and are prized among error coin collectors. What about recent sales? Well, in the last few years, several 1951 Lincoln wheat pennies with these key errors and in high-grade condition have appeared at major auctions. For example, a 1951 D penny with a clear double die obverse and graded MS-65 read by PCGS sold for an eye-popping sum. Another 1951 S with a prominent repunched mint mark and exceptional eye appeal fetched impressive bids at heritage auctions. These sales demonstrate the strong and growing demand for such coins and how rarity and quality drive their incredible values. So, how do you know if your penny is one of these prized specimens? The first step is to get a good loupe or magnifying glass and inspect the date, mint mark, and lettering for any signs of doubling or repunching. Next, assess the overall condition. Does it look shiny and sharp, or worn and dull? For true accuracy, consider having it professionally graded by reputable companies like PCGS or NGC, and here's something important to remember: even if your coin doesn't have an error, if it's in phenomenal condition and a high grade, it could still be worth significantly more than face value. Collectors love pristine, red Lincoln wheat pennies, and the 1951 is no exception. Now for the big reveal. If you have a 1951 Lincoln wheat penny that features a rare error like a double die obverse or repunched mint mark, and it's in top condition, graded mint state red or better, you could be looking at a coin valued at a staggering $120,000, yes, $120,000 for a single penny. So, whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just beginning to explore the world of coins, don't overlook those old pennies. Take the time to inspect, research, and maybe even get them professionally graded. You might just hold a fortune in your hand. Have you ever discovered a rare penny, or do you have questions about your coin collection? Drop a comment below. We love hearing your stories and helping fellow collectors uncover the secrets of their coins. Top 5, we're uncovering the fascinating story behind one of the most intriguing coins in American numismatics, the 1950 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might look like an everyday penny you find in your pocket or jar at home. But listen closely, because this little copper coin hides some secrets that could make it a priceless treasure for the right collector. The 1950 Lincoln wheat penny represents a post-World War II America, a nation moving toward prosperity and growth. The penny, with its iconic image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the wheat stalks on the back, has been a symbol of American heritage and stability. But not all 1950 pennies are created equal, and today, we're going to explore exactly what makes some of these coins extraordinarily rare and wildly valuable. So, why does the 1950 penny stand out? Well, it all comes down to rarity, condition, and minting errors, the holy trinity of coin collecting. First, let's talk about rarity. While millions of 1950 pennies were minted across the Philadelphia, no mint mark, Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, mints, only a small fraction of these have survived in pristine, uncirculated condition. Most pennies from this era were used in daily transactions and show heavy wear, drastically lowering their value, but the real excitement begins when you discover a 1950 penny that sports certain mint errors, those unexpected mistakes during the minting process that make a coin one of a kind. For instance, the double die obverse, DDO, is a standout error. This occurs when the die stamps the coin twice, slightly misaligned, creating a shadow or doubling effect on the date and lettering. If you spot thick or doubled features on the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," or the year 1950, you've likely found a DDO penny, and those are highly sought after. Next, there's the repunched mint mark (RPM) error, especially common in Denver and San Francisco pennies. These errors happen when the mint mark letter is punched more than once into the die, resulting in a ghost image or shadow of the letter. These subtle, but visible, errors increase a coin's desirability and value significantly. Another eye-catching error is the off-center strike, where the design is noticeably shifted away from the center of the coin. Depending on how much of the date and design remain visible, off-center strikes can be extremely rare and valuable, especially when combined with a coin that's still in excellent condition. Speaking of condition, the grading of a coin is crucial. Coins are graded on a scale from poor to perfect mint state. A 1950 penny with full red color, crisp detail, and nowhere will be worth far more than one that's been jostled around in pockets for decades. Professional grading from services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate the coin's condition and error type, adding credibility and boosting market value. Let's add some real-world context. recent auctions have showcased 1950 Lincoln wheat pennies with these rare mint errors and top-tier grades selling for jaw-dropping prices. A double-die 1950 penny in mint state red condition recently fetched bids well into six figures, shocking even seasoned collectors. Another 1950 D with a pronounced repunched mint mark and flawless surfaces commanded attention at a major auction house, selling for a price that far exceeded expectations. So how can you identify these coins yourself? Start with a good magnifying glass. Look closely at the date, the words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust," and the mint mark. Check for any signs of doubling lines, or faint secondary images. Next, assess the coin's overall condition. Does it still shine with a coppery red glow, or is it dull and worn? If you see a noticeable misalignment or off-center strike, that's another red flag in a good way. If you think you might have a rare 1950 penny, get it professionally evaluated. Even small differences in grading can mean the difference between a few dollars and thousands of dollars. And now, here's the exciting part you've been waiting for: a rare 1950 Lincoln wheat penny, featuring a double-die obverse or repunched mint mark, preserved in stunning mint state condition, could be worth an astounding $170,000. That's right, $170,000 for a 1-cent coin. So, take a moment to inspect your coin collections closely. You might be sitting on a remarkable piece of history and wealth without even realizing it. Have you ever found a rare penny or an error coin? Drop your stories and questions in the comments below. We love hearing from you and helping fellow collectors uncover hidden treasures. Top 6. We're diving into a classic piece of American numismatic history, the 1954 United States Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another everyday penny, but if you listen closely and look carefully, this small coin could actually be a hidden treasure worth a small fortune. So, grab your magnifying glass and settle in, because this video is packed with fascinating details that every coin collector, and anyone curious about rare finds, will want to hear. The 1954 Lincoln wheat penny is part of the iconic series that was minted from 1909 all the way until 1958. With Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front and the wheat stalks on the back, these pennies carry a lot of American history in their copper shine. In 1954, the United States was moving forward after World War II, and these coins were circulating in almost every pocket across the country. But despite millions being minted at Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, not all 1954 pennies are created equal. Today, we'll explore what makes some of these coins stand out from the rest, why they are so valuable, and how you can spot the special ones in your own collection. So, what exactly makes a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny rare and valuable? There are three main factors: mint errors, rarity, and condition. First, let's talk about mint errors, those fascinating mistakes that occur during the coin-making process. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1954 penny is the double-die obverse, DDO. This happens when the die that stamps the coin strikes the metal twice in slightly different positions, causing doubling of the date, the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust." If you look carefully with a magnifier and see that these details appear thicker or shadowed, congratulations, you might be holding one of the rare double-die pennies, and those can fetch top dollar from collectors. Another captivating error is the repunched mint mark, RPM, especially on pennies minted in Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. During this era, mint marks were manually punched onto the dies, so sometimes the mint mark was stamped more than once in slightly different places, creating a faint, ghost image. This subtle but distinct doubling of the mint mark can make a big difference in value. And let's not forget the exciting off-center strikes, coins where the design is visibly shifted away from the center. The amount of the missing design, combined with the coin's condition, can make these coins highly prized by error collectors. Next up is condition. A coin's grade plays a huge role in its value. Most pennies you find have been worn smooth by decades of handling. But a 1954 penny in mint state, meaning it still has its original shiny copper luster and no visible signs of wear, is far more valuable. Add an error to a mint state coin, and you've got a true numismatic gem. So how can you assess if your coin is one of these special 1954 pennies? First, use a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe to inspect the date, the lettering around Lincoln's head, and the mint mark for any doubling or ghost images. Check for sharp details and vibrant color. Does the penny still have that original reddish shine, or is it dull and gray? The more original the condition, the better. Now, you might be wondering, how much could such a coin be worth? Recent auction results offer some jaw-dropping examples. A 1954 double-die obverse penny, graded MS 65 read by PCGS, recently sold for an astonishing amount. Another rare 1954 Denver penny with a pronounced repunched mint mark and flawless surfaces fetched huge interest at a major auction house, showcasing the high demand and serious value collectors place on these errors. So here's the moment you've been waiting for, a 1954 Lincoln wheat penny, featuring a rare error like the double-die obverse or repunched mint mark, and preserved in top mint state condition could be worth a staggering $140,000, yes, $140,000 for a single penny. This goes to show just how valuable small details can be in the coin world. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare 1954 pennies, you could be sitting on a true treasure. Have you ever found a rare penny or an interesting error in your collection? Share your stories and questions in the comments below. We love hearing from fellow collectors and helping you discover the hidden gems in your coins. Top 7 and last rare coin. We're journeying back to 1958, the final year the iconic Lincoln wheat penny was minted, before it transitioned to the Lincoln Memorial design. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny might seem like just another old coin, but trust me, this penny holds incredible value and fascinating stories that every collector should know. So, listen up closely, because what you're about to learn could turn your everyday pocket change into a numismatic goldmine. The 1958 Lincoln wheat penny marks the end of an era. For nearly 5 decades, these pennies carried the timeless image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and 2 elegant wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, on the reverse. This design has become one of the most beloved in American coinage history, representing a significant chapter in our nation's monetary past. But here's where it gets really interesting. Although millions of these pennies were minted across Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, not all 1958 pennies are created equal. Some carry rare errors and unique features that make them especially valuable and highly sought after by collectors worldwide. Let's start by diving into the rare mint errors found on some 1958 pennies. One of the most famous, and valuable, is the double-die obverse, DDO, error. This occurs when the coin die stamps the coin's face twice, slightly misaligned, producing a visible doubling of the date, letters in Liberty, or even the motto, In God We Trust. If you examine your penny with a magnifying glass and notice thickened or shadowed edges around these features, you could be holding a rare double-die penny. These errors are like the holy grail for collectors, turning ordinary pennies into extraordinary treasures. Another captivating anomaly to look out for is the repunched mint mark, RPM. Especially common on Denver and San Francisco minted pennies, the mint mark letter, either D or S, was manually punched onto the die. Sometimes, this letter was stamped more than once in slightly different positions, creating a ghostly double impression. This subtle doubling can significantly increase a penny's value, especially when paired with excellent coin condition. Then, there are off-center strikes, where the design is noticeably shifted away from the center. Depending on how much of the coin's design is missing and how sharp the remaining detail is, these errors can fetch premium prices, particularly among error coin collectors. Of course, all of these rare features become even more valuable when the coin is in top-notch condition. Most pennies you find will have wear and tear from decades of circulation. But if you come across a 1958 Lincoln wheat penny with its original red or red-brown copper luster, crisp detail, and minimal signs of handling, often classified as mint state by professional graders, then you might be holding a coin worth a serious amount. How can you be sure your penny is a rare gem? First, grab a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe. Look closely at the date and the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust for any doubling effects. Next, examine the mint mark carefully for any signs of repunching. Finally, evaluate the coin's overall condition. Does it still have a bright shine, or is it dull and worn? Coins that retain that original mint glow will always command higher prices. To add credibility, recent auctions have brought some mind-blowing sales of 1958 Lincoln wheat pennies featuring these rare errors. For example, a 1958 D double die obverse in mint state condition recently fetched an eye-popping sum at a major auction, catching the attention of collectors worldwide. Similarly, pennies with pronounced repunched mint marks and flawless surfaces have stirred bidding wars that drive their prices far beyond typical expectations. So, what's the bottom line? A 1958 Lincoln wheat penny, especially one with a double die error, repunched mint mark, or an off-center strike, and kept in impeccable condition, could be worth a staggering $110,000, yes, $110,000 for a single penny. It just goes to show how paying attention to the tiniest details can unlock amazing value hidden in plain sight. So, before you toss your loose change, take a moment to inspect your coins carefully. You might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. Have you ever discovered a rare penny or an interesting mint error in your collection? Share your stories and questions in the comments below. I'm always excited to hear from fellow collectors and help you uncover more hidden gems. If you enjoyed this video and want to dive deeper into the fascinating world of rare coins, make sure to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss out on future videos packed with valuable coin insights. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep hunting, keep collecting, and happy treasure finding.